Hello everyone, peace be with you. Welcome to this Jacko Club's production. Today we are going to be jumping into the much beloved, fantastical world of Tamriel. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for being here. Please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell button for notifications if you do. You can find us on various social media platforms linked in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, as for the public execution that Dragonborn just witnessed, I think the answer is pretty easy for him, right? Like, at this time, that's not out of the ordinary, very deeply accepted thing, as a part of a virtue that, is sometimes nowadays more viewed as a necessary evil than a good in of itself, and that is justice, right? And I think that's kind of the crux of where my take on the issue comes, even though I arrive at the same conclusion as most from a different way. Most people, there is like a separate category who would view the death penalty as never applicable for reasons such as government corruption being a possibility, for an uncertainty about how much we can really know about a person, who are we to judge. I would disagree with both of those arguments. First, on the basis of I think there's as much cause to be skeptical of people, just like a population in general, as there is to be of a government. I think those need to be equally balanced. The government is as much a check and balance on the people as the people are to be on the government. And then in the latter case, I live in a world where, yes, I acknowledge there's always going to be stuff you don't know about people. And there is a humility that is absolutely necessary in that, but at the same time, we live in, a world that is good, and a world that is good is based in connection, and a world that is based in connection requires knowledge. To be able to relate to another person, you need to be able to know them. And being a person with a deep faith in there being an ultimate victory at the end of life, or I should even say before our lives, that is being realized. I believe in a world where people are knowable, and I don't think it has to be that mystical either. I think that one can realistically get a fairly good judgment of people in life, at least enough for those sorts of things, and one can be confident when pursuing such. In the case of virtue, or in the cause of virtue, they can count on whether you believe it's virtue working itself out, viewing it as kind of like a practical manner. Virtue is the best because it's the best way for society to function. It's the most rational, most operable system. Or whether you believe it because it's derivative of the divine creator who makes all things work, or a combination of both, like I would. I would say virtue figures itself out if you are trying to judge justly. Things will generally work out, and when they don't, they'll still work out for the best. You do your best and let God take care of the rest. That all being said, though, I would come to it from a very different angle. I would come to fairly the same conclusion as a lot of modern thinkers do on the death penalty, where I would say it is just in the case of you don't know if the person is going to get out or not, if they're going to pose a danger to society. But then it's also should not be the go-to, and that's not the case. And that's where I do start to differ, though. These things start to become more clear as to what to do with them from there. So I don't, and why I view those things to be the case. Like, I don't view the death penalty as wrong because it's an affront to human dignity. And I don't believe that because at least as a Christian, we hear right in the beginning of Genesis that death is necessary for all who sin, and it is, by thinking, like, even those who don't suffer the death penalty for their sins will still die, and we know that they die as a result of their sins. But God clearly has a purpose in that. It's not necessarily more undignified for them to have their life taken by a man than it is to by just life itself, at least not inherently. But I think the rest really comes in from viewing justice as a good in and of itself as opposed to a necessary evil. I think throughout all cultures, through most of history, justice is lauded as a good, and that certainly includes Christianity, and the history there. And I think it's kind of a derivative of modern man just not knowing how to integrate justice into his own life, and to reconcile that with love, that makes him start to depreciate its value. But what we see in Christianity and even in many other philosophies is the necessity of a reconciliation between those two, right? Like, this is a death penalty, the cross I wear around my neck. It is suffering for the sake of justice. And it's a moment at which mercy and justice meet, where they kiss, as the Bible tells us. So, when it comes to someone suffering the necessary crime, or necessary penalty for killing someone, that's not a bad thing. It's not even something to be sad about. It's something to celebrate. When we talk about it as like a public execution specifically, we're talking about something that sends a message to the public that they are safe, that the good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, and that's a good message. It's a message people need. You know, a lot of what happens in Christianity happens not simply because God loves us, but also by virtue of justice. As you know, God paid a penalty. It was a transaction that He paid, and we get that as justice for that, so on and so forth. So when it comes to you know, whether or not people ought to get what they deserve, I think that's an important thing to integrate. And funnily enough, as we learn more about rehabilitation, it turns out that the most effective form of rehabilitation is people paying back what they did wrong. And so, you know, you have another example of a moment where justice and mercy are satisfied at the exact same time. And so that's my solution, right? If someone commits a crime, it is their job to make up for it. If they took a life, it's their responsibility to provide for society as much as they can to make up for what society lost in that person, what that person would have brought to a society, and what they themselves would have brought if they had been living as a productive member, so on and so forth. And in the process of doing that, one can still be, you know, obviously giving counseling and various other things, prayer, to name another one. They can be given those things to grow and to get better. Mercy can be satisfied and needs to be as well. Justice itself will still be taken care of. And I think one of the things that society loses in not having that is the death penalty kind of just lets people off the hook, right? The person who this guy just saw get executed for letting Ulfric out the gate, there's no consolation for the damage he did. There's a whole war going on, and him dying is not going to make the war go away. Though for sure he couldn't fix it all himself, he could at least contribute more than just having his head roll. That's my piece on that. That's what I feel about it. I come to it from a very different way because I think it's a very important thing to remember, that justice is a good in and of itself. And that's something that you tend to find more in fantasy. Going back to that orc we met earlier, also a sense of glory and honor as virtues in and of themselves. Things that's a responsibility of a man to weave together with other virtues in their life, as opposed to, you know, struggle to put one on top of the other. That is really what, of all faiths, what makes the Christian faith, is a faith of reconciliation, and not just man to God, but a way for people to look at the world and say, how can God be a just God, and how can God be a merciful God at the same time? Just, you know, there's all this pain, and yet it's still good. Those are the things that it uniquely answers by weaving them together, as opposed to other faiths where one starts to take precedence more of the other. Kind of secularism that might give more deference to what one wants, as opposed to what is ultimately right and fair, or some other forms of secularism or forms of paganism. This, you know, goes in both ways, that are more focused on fairness and justice, almost to an extraordinary extent. That ends up, you know, you find in both cases that one is, when you go too far on either, they start to not become truly justice or truly mercy. And that's another way of arriving at monotheism. Alright, well, that's it for Deep Thoughts on the Dragonborn. All that being said about ethics and morality, let's get a man drunk, so we can assault the dignity of this woman. So the Dragonborn is looking for a way to
I'm not sure that it's news, but
get a distraction and get the guards distracted. So let's talk to our friend here, who looks like a troublemaker.
it's not really a fair comparison.
Here, I brought you a drink.
After all,
Ah, the one generous soul amongst a gathering of pinch
Yes,
pennies and
the
lick
idea
spells.
is...
If there's anything I can ever do for you, do not hesitate to call upon me.
That's the idea. There is something you could do for me.
Wonderful. I can begin to repay your generosity immediately. Say on, friend.
I need you to cause a
Is
scene.
that all? My friend, you've come to the right person. You could say that causing a scene is somewhat of a specialty of mine. Stand back and behold my handiwork.
Alright,
Yes,
I'm
what do
ready.
Of course. Let me see if we have another
Attention,
bottle of that.
everyone.
I'll be
Could I
waiting
have-
by the door for everyone to be distracted.
I have an announcement to make.
This should be good.
I propose a toast to
Let's go.
Elenwen.
Before anyone notices us.
I speak figuratively, of course. Nothing could be more unlikely than that someone would actually want her in their bed. Although
Uh-oh.
most of you are already in bed.
So far, so good. Let's hope nobody saw us slip out. We need to
Alright.
pass through the kitchen.
Talk to me
Your
over there.
gear is hidden in the larder.
I'm already here.
Just stay
My
close
boy.
and let me do any talking. Got it?
Malboy, wake up! I know sometimes I could talk a lot, but please, focus me.
Oh, come
EODR really is a disease.
You know I don't like strange smells in my kitchen.
A guest feeling ill. Leave the poor wretch be.
A guest? In the kitchens? You know this is against the rules.
Rules, is it, Savani? I didn't realize that eating moon sugar was permitted. Perhaps I should ask the ambassador.
Get out of here. I saw nothing.
Your gear is in that chest.
My man's
I'll
got
lock
the
door
dirt.
behind you. Don't scream.
All is fair in love and war, my friend.
Stop.
Alright, you know, now that I think about it, I should have brought my leather
Come on.
gear
If
for
someone
this.
misses me at the party, we're both dead.
I'm going, man. Get lost. Noob. Okay, so we have two options. We can either fight our way through all these people, or we can take the slow, methodical route. And if you haven't noticed, I happen to be a thing called a Dragonborn. And one thing dragons are not normally associated with is discretion. So
I need to lock the door behind you, or the patrols might notice something's wrong.
as much as can.
don't worry,
Good luck.
they will in fact notice. No, I remember being able to do more damage than this last time I played the game. Okay. Die, pointy ears. I don't see you being able to accomplish that, my friend from back there. I actually find it quite amusing that he can't get to me, so I'm just gonna let him stay back there. He did say he yielded, which, as we know in this game, is never really the case. I want all your things. It's valuable and useful for my collection, useful for stealth. Take these two. They sell for a lot as well. Okay, so thing about the Talmor, they really love to use magic, but shock magic drains their magicka. So we are going to use a little bit of that, and then we'll actually need that later. Well, let's deal with him the old-fashioned way. See, the thing about wearing robes into a combat zone is blunt force trauma. Like that. And that. are you talking to? I do like that there's still noise going on outside. You know, all this stuff will sell for a pretty penny. And there's some justice, in, especially for such a prideful people, of leaving them stripped. Oh, I forgot. He's still there. That's who's talking to me.
Found you. You wish.
His face hole is gone. Or actually, be more specific. He has another face hole. How can I rob these people blind? I don't like them. One up here. For the facility, you know, we're looking for anything the lady of the place may have. I wish we could go back, right? Because then we could find a way into the party and just start clubbing. Not the type they think. Find as we go into the story that the lady of this house is quite the despicable character. That's also why we were robbing her blind. Dodge and weave, baby! Dodge and weave. Come to Papa. Hold on. You and I both know, if you get close. Yep.
I'll see you burn.
Maybe you should use fire magic then. You weirdo. Best insult I could think of on the fly. At modern politics. I got him, boys. Also, there's people out over there. Can I go out there? I could. I could find Elowin and fight her. I still don't know if it's possible. You guys have bound swords? Let me get this straight. You make use of bound Daedric weapons instead of the ones you have. I guess that's our combat philosophy. Well, let me just, you know, it's gotta have a cooldown. Can I quote you on that?
I'm going to put you down.
Oh, you've separated yourself from your friend.
Miserable life.
That's what I like to see. They just summoned another sword.
I'll see you burn.
Why do you keep saying that? You don't have fire! How are you gonna burn me? Certainly not with your words. I am sure that bow will serve you well in this situation.
Miserable life.
What can you do? Like your armor. It sells. We won't take the breastplate. Maybe. Let's see if we can't go inside and find our way to the rest of the party guests. I can't get out that way. No, I don't have the key. To pickpocket it off
Go right
someone.
on in. The party has already started.
Thank you. Oh no! Okay. I've never seen that before. Doesn't have a key. Come on, man. should have pickpocketed Elowin. I can go back. Remember that for a later run through. If we want to go back and make war on all the people in there, we gotta get that key off of her. Alright. Once more into the breach.
But I need that money. I earned it. I have my own expenses, you know.
Silence! Do not presume, Giselle. You are most useful, but do not presume. We have other informants who are less offensive.
But no one else has brought you such...
You chose the wrong side, friend. Traitor of a Nord. Your soldiers cannot save you. They cannot even save themselves. This game needs hotkeys for potions, desperately. I just need a little more stamina, thank you. Appreciate your patience. I will bash your skull in and so many business. Oh, we didn't mean to do that. Usually have a no stripping women policy for the sake of their dignity, but I'm gonna take her helmet and I took something else, so R.I.P. Non-canon event. We've got what we needed in that chest, but I want to keep robbing. We're blind. I think that guy we killed, the wizard with a special name, or something, has a key. We might be able to take that back and use it to do some justice for the people of Skyrim. You know what I mean. You'll see why we want it in just a moment. Finish looting. Loot, loot, loot. But not a loot. Just seen a loot. Not in here anyways. Nope. Okay, I'm getting bored, game. Give me something good. Give me something good. 13 gold. Chest, and there's 13 gold in it? Odd. Well, let's read these notes. So we have several Thalmor dossiers here. We have the one on Ulfric Stormcloak. We have the one on Delphine. And we have the one on the current dragon investigation. So I'll read the other ones once we get out of here. Because if you haven't noticed, we have caused a little bit of a stir, and people could jump us any minute. First emissary, Elowin. We anticipate a breakthrough in our efforts to uncover the party or power behind the dragon resurrection phenomenon. Well, there's Delphine's answer as to whether the Thalmor are behind it or not. An informant has identified a possible lead, whom we have brought back to the embassy for a full interrogation. The subject is obstinate, but by all indications is holding back the information we seek. I have authorized intermediate manual uncoiling. I do not expect more will be necessary unless you feel time presses. Oh, lovely. Uncoiling. What does it mean by manual? I know you prefer to be present for the final questioning. I will inform you immediately when the subject is fully receptive. 2 days should tell the tale. In the meantime, if you wish to audit our technique, your expertise is welcome as always. The 3-page note. I have placed the prisoner in the cell closest to your office stairs, for your convenience. That is how you know you have an experienced torturer, someone who can talk about it so laissez-faire. What was I thinking? Not that I... No, he doesn't have a key to the rest of the place, just to the downstairs. Not that I view torture as being, in all cases, moral. We will take and sell them. Because in many cases, it is also not justified. Doubtlessly, the case being performed by him is not one of them. I suppose that's a bullet point I did not quite cover in the topic we discussed right when we got back. But that would be one of, can any good come out of kind of negative motivation? Motivation to avoid pain, for example. Does all motivation need to be sort of pulling someone upward? Or is it possible to push, so to speak? And the answer is I think people need a little bit of both. We need kind of something like bowling, right? You need, in life you need guardrails to keep you within certain guardrails to keep you on the right path, but then also things give you momentum to go. Very difficult to rob herself. To rob her. No, I don't want to close the case. I opened it for a reason. That should work, but it doesn't. Bad. We are now rich at her expense. Take great delight in that. It's odd to see that the Thalmor have any sort of value for frostbite venom. As if it was actually good for anything. An amulet of Debella, we could use that. Man is too tough. Bella is as much the goddess of love as she is other forms of charisma. Primarily associated with that. We will level up as soon as we get out of here. Before we do, though, we want to make use of the opportunity, going all stealthy-like. We kind of bashed our way through everything else. We don't really know what's down here. Good to be prudent, even if you're generally going to go about things smashing. Well, don't see anything yet. Guard, so let's go introduce ourselves, shall we? You should know before you die that your railings are worthy of their health and safety certification. I'm sure that gave him great comfort. Came straight from the heart. I was quite impressed to not be able to jump over that. $330 value makes impressive. A lot of uncoiling victims, it appears. Apparently we need to pick that up. I don't know if we have to read it. Back to this man. But
I told you. I don't know anything else about it.
You can't tell, perhaps by the cries of agony of the Thalmor, that I'm not here to torture you.
What? Who? What do you want then?
For you to do well in my fantasy football team. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong Etienne. No time to explain, let's get out of here.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Is there
Come
not
on,
time to
this
explain?
way. I've seen the guards use it to get rid of bodies. It must lead somewhere.
Hold on, you may know something important. Yeah,
I
let's do
damn well
that.
hope so. If it helps you twist them up, I'm glad to help. There
Yeah, let's
some
coil
old
them.
guy named
Instead of
Egor
uncoiling
there.
them.
Something to do with dragons. I gathered it from listening to them talk when they thought I was out. I've seen a guy in Riften who they seem to think is him. Not much to
Good
go
to
on.
know.
I don't even know where he lives or his name, but they seem pretty excited about it. That's it. Now, let's get out of here.
Well, thank you. I have no reason to believe on the whole truth.
Whatever you want. But let's go, now.
Find out more information about him later, so you'll have plenty of time. Oh, that's not good.
Listen up, spy. You're trapped in here, and we have your accomplice. Surrender immediately, or you both die.
Never mind.
Never
Oh, that didn't work. You should run, Malborn. Please try to not get yourself killed. If only he would ever listen to that. I've only once in my entire time playing this game succeeded in having him not die. I've also never before in my life seen what happens to... Beautifully ironic that as he's saying you wish to defeat me impossible, I kill him. But very nice. Gotta love it. Just never gets old doing it to the elves. Most specifically the Thalmor. An ideology, not a race that I despise. But yeah, the guy we just freed, I never really find out what he does. I don't know if they just like forgot to write it as game developers, but like, I don't think you ever see him again. Oh, hold on, I don't want to pickpocket him. I'll talk to him.
I saw guards dragging bodies over here. Might be a way out. They
Who are
grabbed me
you?
in Riften. They seem to think I know something. They just kept asking me the same damn questions.
Might not want to just like haphazardly jump down there, Malborn. I guess you do, though. I guess you do. Please do fall back. Please run away. Malborn, you're going to get yourself killed. I'm gonna feel bad about it, as I always do. Oh, Malborn. If I want him to survive this, I have to find a way kill this entire frost roll before he allows himself to get hit. We'll try that. I'll try this too. Oh, I know I shouldn't feel bad for him for getting himself killed, because he really does it to himself, but I feel the need to pay him back. Just like, even the completionist in me just says, don't let Malborn get himself totally... Malborn! I'm gonna kill him. And I don't mean that facetiously. He's now in the way. I literally can't hit the troll without hitting him, and that means I can't defend him from himself either. Oh, you need... There we go. Good boy. Malborn! You... You worthless sod. But... Hey, we did it. Okay. Excellent. Always getting himself killed. What do we have here? Whoop. Looks like a necromancer. Try to use this as a hideout, and someone else had the same idea.
Now the Thalmor will be hunting me for the rest of my life. I hope it was worth it.
I think so. I mean, you chose to be here, man. Not my problem. It saved you from yourself. Go see if Etienne is alive, however you say his name. Good man.
Now the Thalmor will be hunting me for the rest of my life.
You didn't have to help
Hope it
me,
was worth it.
so thanks. You didn't have to help me, so thanks.
Yeah, I don't think this guy ever comes up again. I think he just kinda fades into obscurity. So does Malborn. What's the way out of here? Not right, left, I guess, so. Uthgerd? Wild. Okay, well, Uthgerd has found us. Would have been nice if she had come in while we were fighting the troll, but I guess she was waiting out there for us. I don't know why that's where she was waiting. What a great video that was. Hope you'll consider checking out our various other accounts in the description below. We put out uplifting content 7 days a week. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it. There's a lot more awesome content on the way. May you be there to see it. May God bless and keep you, and may we all live in eternal communion.